they're like, I don't want to rock the boat in this relationship, it's going well, but you got to talk about the big purple elephant in the room. And you haven't talked about it, next thing you know, you're resenting each other. And then you end up divorced again. Oh my God, can you believe he asked me for a prenup? Second date or 6 months in?
So tell me about your financial habits. They want a little romance first before talking about the pocketbook.
And we're gonna share some insight because we deal with this every day, and it's the topic of the merger and protection of assets. Hi everyone, today we are here with my associate Miranda, and we're gonna share some insight because we deal with this every day in our business, and it's the topic of the merger and protection of assets. Usually real estate, when a new couple or a new union is coming together. So here we are, we're gonna answer some questions. So the first question, I think, is when, a new couple is getting together and they are really serious about the next chapter and stage in life, there are some conversations they want to avoid.
Yes.
Yes.
For sure.
But what is the, danger in avoiding these conversations?
So I would say people, again, there's a lot of fear around it, even though it's a beautiful, lovely union, and I'm sure they're excited about this and moving in, but it's just the economics, the finances of, how does this work? You're combining money, right? Some people have already had to sell or are taking money from savings or whatever to now purchase a new home together, and you're living together with somebody for the first time after many years of being alone, perhaps, right? So I think that fear is real for people that are going through the process. Yeah.
So I think too, it doesn't even mean people have divorced and coming, new unions.
Yeah, just new unions in general.
Yes, I think I dealt with maybe 2 years ago a couple that was looking to purchase their first home together. They'd never been married. They thought we'll buy the home first, okay. But they had very different spending habits.
Right.
And they're very different views on money.
Yes.
So would you say that is something that people should talk about? How early on in the relationship?
Pretty early on, I'd say, right? It's kind of like when people
second date or 6 months in.
So tell me about your financial habits. Yes.
But it's very real if you're actually interested in each other to that capacity.
Absolutely.
For a future, I would think.
Yeah, it's like as important as deciding if you want to have children in the future.
Very true.
Right?
Yeah,
I think both of those things are extremely important if you're going to be combining and living together, combining possibly an asset and combining your finances and making plans for the future. It's a very big deal.
I know you've worked with some women who have actually recently coupled off with new unions, which is a beautiful thing.
Yes.
How early were they having these discussions with their new significant other?
I think it actually comes down a lot to age. I think as for older women that are maybe doing this for the second time, they would be more, they're bringing that up immediately on the first couple of dates, right? But for people that are doing this for the first time, I do feel like there's a lot of questions around it, but maybe they're not focusing in on that too early on.
They want to enjoy the honeymoon phase.
They want to, yes, exactly. They want a little romance first before talking about the pocketbook, right?
Yeah, but it has to come up. You can't avoid it entirely because at the end of the day, if you're going to be commingling your assets and living this beautiful life together, this union, then you got to talk about it.
Exactly.
Right.
And I know that you recently were dealing with this with a client who is moving into a new place together.
So I'm actually dealing with a client who has about a $500,000 asset to sell.
Right.
He's recently widowed. He has children. He's now in a beautiful union with this other person who also has children. And so to protect, the merger and protection of this asset that he wants to sell, they have to do a cohabitation agreement.
Right.
And just ensure that his kids will get, whatever from this and that it doesn't belong to the new union because this was all prior to. So it gets very real, and people, as much as you want to always believe that everything is fine and dandy, you still got to document everything.
100%.
Right? If it's not documented, everything's up for grabs.
Yes.
And we've seen the worst of it happen. But that is just simple business. It's merger protection of assets. We want to be, it's no different than a prenup.
Yes.
Right. But for this particular asset, we won't be able to sell it until that, and I'm fine. Step one before step two.
Yeah.
Right. So, and that was also my advice. I was like, let's not do this until that is, set, signed, and delivered.
Yeah.
Right? Signed, sealed, and delivered. Sorry.
Yeah. And blended families, that's an important an important consideration, because a lot of these assets, any equity, when you go to sell it down the road, that is mostly, a lot of that might be going towards the children. So that kind of has to be outlined in the agreement early on. And another thing I would suggest too, I had a client last year buy a condo with her partner, and they're not married yet. They're just dating, and they decided that when they were purchasing the condo, one person had more of a down payment, and the other person had a very minimal down payment. So what I suggested is, like, in a very friendly way, they're both like very open to the idea. It's protecting everybody. It's taking out any contention moving forward and any worry for both people. But they just had a lawyer draft up a little agreement. It's a one-page little agreement that just says, I came in with this amount and I came in with that, and should anything happen,
you leave with that,
right,
and then anything
the
further.
equity.
Exactly.
So
I know we've dealt with
things
this so many times.
But I think people don't understand it, right?
Yeah,
like, I don't think people realize.
They don't know. They're like, I don't want to rock the boat in this relationship. It's going on, but you got to talk about the big purple elephant in the room.
Yes.
Because if you're coming in with a $200,000 down payment, and I've got a $500,000, that's double and a bit. Like, it's significant, right? But at the end of the day, you want the same things, and that's beautiful,
right?
And couples that make it all the way through, it doesn't even. I mean, they don't even remember they signed it.
Yeah, exactly.
They're like, what? What did I sign? Which is great, right? Because we only want the best for everybody.
Yeah.
What are we advising now, especially on these second unions, on the merger and protection of assets? What should couples like this be discussing before they buy a home together?
I think that really it's important to talk about your lifestyle, your spending habits, what you want to do. Like, a lot of people are, like, the comments I hear all the time is like, I don't want to be mortgage poor.
Oh yeah,
right. Like, this
so
is all
times.
the time. And whereas some people, it's they're like, well, I don't care. I just want to have that house, and I'd rather spend more money on my home than going out and traveling. And
I think it depends if somebody's a homebody.
That's correct.
I had someone say, I'd rather have 1,000 square feet less because I like to travel 4 times a year.
Exactly.
So I mean,
that's a conversation, right? Because, and it's also something to think about with, is this the happy human that you're going to be with as well? Because if somebody is more of a homebody and you're more of a wanting to go out and visit restaurants and travel and do all the things, that's also probably going to be problematic to a degree, but especially when it comes to the finances and making sure that you're purchasing the right home that kind of works for everybody. And their lifestyle.
I find, and I don't know if you find this, but I find that the different generations, there are some generations, I'm not going to say which generation because I don't want to typecast, but there are some generations where having children is not really a priority. So they're like, I don't need something big. I actually want multiple residences in the world. We work remotely, and they want to travel. And are you seeing that? Because I'm seeing that.
Definitely. Yes.
So that's changing the consideration of how people are merging and protection their assets now, because not only is it their home base may be here, but then it's also in Dubai or it's in the States or whatnot. So it's changing kind of the dynamic of also how we have to advise our clients.
Yes.
Because if they give up residency, it changes the game again. And then we have to defer to our lawyers, because if there's tax advice they need on their world income, again, we'd have to defer to lawyers.
Yeah, exactly.
But we are finding that was not really a topic of conversation 10 years ago.
No.
But it is now.
Yeah. Just like the age of marriage, I think people are waiting a bit longer to get married and to even move in together. There's a lot of independent newcomers into the workforce, right, that are enjoying living on their own and having that independence. So when you are merging and purchasing a property together, I think that it's very important to communicate effectively.
What are some mistakes that couples before they get married again make? And what are these mistakes that we can tell them that they can avoid? This was a question I got from someone who's recently divorcing.
Yes.
So if I'm going to go into a new marriage,
yes,
what should I avoid making as a mistake?
Yeah.
Good question.
Very good question. And I would say that it just don't jump in with your eyes closed. Make sure you have all the facts, that you look through what is everyone coming in with, what are our goals, what do we want to do with our future together, and
what does the debt look like?
Yeah, exactly.
Do you emotionally spend?
That's right.
Heard all this,
yes.
right?
Like, have you still not paid off your student loans?
Oh my God, that's a problem.
Or do you have a lien on your current property? Like, there's so many, and we've seen it all, haven't we, over the past 20 years?
Do you need 10 cars?
Yes, exactly. I didn't realize that you also had 3 motorcycles.
Oh,
yes, exactly.
There are some, they collect them, they're attached to
Well,
these
I just
things.
spoke to a client a couple of days ago, and she was looking for a rental, and she's like, I can't stay in the beaches because my boyfriend of however long has 2 Harley Davidsons. And I can hardly get one parking spot in the beach, right, for her budget.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's
so
wild.
these are the conversations.
They should buy
have.
my 6-car garage
Yes.
listing.
That would be perfect. I'll work on them. So on this topic, I guess one thing that we haven't really covered is prenups, like an actual prenuptial
Very
agreement.
real.
And it's what I've experienced is, people are kind of wary of them, and it seems to be like sort of an avoiding, like a topic people don't want to talk about. What is your experience with this, and why do you think that is?
Well, prenups are, first of all, I find the first reaction when people are like, oh my God, can you believe he asked me for a prenup?
Yes.
And the thing is, that's a normal human reaction because people don't like to feel like he doesn't love me, or they, you know what I mean? Like, so they kind of feel distrust, but then when you cool off about the emotional side of things and you're looking, okay, again, here we're talking about the merger and protection of assets. And if somebody comes to the table with more and they've earned that or inherited in some cases, how is it fair that all of a sudden you have entitlement to that? So you have to just think with a cool head and say, okay, let's look at this. What does it look like? What are the terms? It all comes down to the terms in a prenup. I think prenups are so common these days. And if you bring to the table honesty and integrity in this union, in this marriage, everything's going to work out fine.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
It's the attitude and just making sure people keep a level cool-headed. I mean, we've seen prenups and things with like terms like vesting periods, and this is common, right? Even vesting period, people get more if they have children, 1, 2, 3 children.
Yes.
So, if people don't want to talk about it, like, then don't get involved with somebody who has a lot of assets.
Yes,
but you're gonna be really happy. I mean, like, listen, at the end of the day, love is love. But be prepared that if you are in a new union, this is something that, you want to be educated about. You can even go to AI and just kind of get a cheat sheet on what kind of questions should I ask for a prenup, but get real legal advice because at the end of the day, everyone's situation is different.
Yeah.
The terms are different, vesting periods of time for this, that, the other. There is no one size fits all with prenups, but you have to deal with them.
Yeah, and like to our point earlier with blended families especially, like most of the time, these are protecting the children and their asset and what they're, and I think if you're going into that situation, like everybody wins in the end.
Yes.
If you're doing it like reasonably and can communicate it, it shouldn't be a hush hush.
There's nothing worse than being 5 years
table.
into your new union and you haven't talked about it, and next thing you know, you're resenting each other.
That's
and then you end up divorced again.
Yes, exactly.
You have to tackle these things, nip them in the bud, talk about the purple elephant in the room, talk about the prenup.
So Claudine, a question for you.
Yes.
What do you think your number one factor to a healthy relationship is?
I think it's mindset, because if you've got a healthy mindset for your relationship and the outcomes of your relationship, everything starts with mindset. If you have that healthy mindset, then you're going to have a healthy outcome because your actions, you are innately programmed to do things that your mind wants to achieve.
Yeah.
So if you have a healthy mindset of your relationship and the outcome of that relationship, then you act towards that.
Yes.
Right? And all of your actions go towards that. So I think mindset is number one.
Yeah, and I agree. And I think it's just being able to communicate is really important, right?
100%.
Like, I think a lot of people sometimes like hold in their feelings and their doubts because, like we were talking about, you hear prenup and you're like, even in the movies, they still like, they portray it that that way, right? It's like scary. How dare you? Yeah. And so I think if you communicate that, okay, well, this, I'm a little worried about this, but what is this for? And understanding it, then it just kind of, it's not something to be worried about. It's actually protective. Can create a happy relationship, I think.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for watching. We hope that you gained some insight in this topic. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us and we'd be happy to assist.